All right, it is time to get towards the end of these position groups. We're talking cornerbacks, the secondary. Some people are worried about this room, but I'm not. I'm excited for it. We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk Oregon. We're going to talk two practices that we've been available for in the fall camp. We're diving in. It's Gophers football here at Gopher Broke Podcast. What up, y'all? This is going to be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it because we've had fall camp in full swing. It's Kane, Rob. It's Tristyn, Spann-Ford with the Gopher Broke Podcast. Be sure to follow wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. We're getting this thing ticking up because it's football season, and we're going to be there for you each and every week, talking Gophers football, chopping it up. We've been breaking down all the position groups. We've been breaking down all the opponents on the schedule. Once we wrap that up, we're going to do predictions ourselves. We're going to call out our my guys for the season, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year. We're getting after it. And then we're also going to do a live pick 'em week by week for the entire Big Ten and see what we think the Big Ten will shake out as. So be sure to hit subscribe over on YouTube, follow wherever you get podcasts, and we're going to get after it. Tristyn, how you feeling?
Feel great. I feel great. We got preseason football. It's just in the air. It's in the air. It makes me feel like I'm ready for the temperature to kind of shift a little bit, and just I'm in the zone. Our whole house is itching. I came home the other day, and my wife just has like NFL Network, like the camp,
Yes.
like just the training camp, talking heads all day. Like Brian Baldinger's just talking on the TV. I'm like, what are you watching? She's like, just need something. I just need something in the background.
I love it. I love that so much.
Oh, it feels great. It's great. I mean, we're in a great week. My kid was out in California. Went and visited Uncle Brev, so that was a good time for him. He sent me a picture with a couple of different guys, the DAC and stuff like that.
Just living a good life.
Oh, living a good life. My mom calls me today, and she was telling me about the trip in general. She's the one who went out there with my oldest. She goes, so I'm talking to Brev's coach, and I just had this thought, like, it's just such a mom thought. This is such a mom thought. I don't think it's fair that some players get paid so much more than others. It's like, what do you mean, Mom? I was like, do you think it should be like equal opportunity? Is it a communist? Like, it should be a communist company, the NFL? And she's like, well, it's just everyone's out there. It takes a whole team to win. So shouldn't everyone get paid? Why is one person getting paid less than $1 million and another person getting paid 20, 30 million a year? I had to explain salary cap to her. I had to explain this is just how it works. I was like, some guys are way better than others, Mom. Like,
hey, I mean, it's a branding too, especially when we're talking about them Dallas Cowboys. It's his own brand out there. Jerry's out there not wanting to pay his best player. Look, all I got to say is, Jerry, when it comes time to give Brev some extra dollars and some extra money, get him back on that roster, let him work with his boy Jake Ferg, like, just do the right thing. Yeah, I feel like he's not going to ask or command as much as Micah Parsons, so let's just do the right thing.
I don't know if Brev's going to have the same leverage that Micah Parsons.
Hey, man. See, now that's what Brev's got to do. He's got to start like linking up and getting into the commercials and things like that, so that way he's like, look, Jerry, I'm a brand too. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but I love that. I hope Mama Ford is now a little bit on the okay. I understand a little bit, but we'll get there.
I talked her down. That's what she said. She was like, Brev's coach was like, yeah, Jackie, until it's your kid doing this.
Right.
But like, yeah, you're right. So,
and also, I was gonna say, Brev balls out, has career years like back to back to back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we want this much now. Yeah, we want to make sure he's fairly compensated. Like,
exactly, that's all it is. It's just such a mom's mentality. Everyone should just have fun and be safe.
We breaking out the orange peels and the juice boxes before we dive in, we've got a whole lot of Gophers talk. We're going to talk about fall camp and the practices. I've been to two of them so far. One was today. We're recording on Tuesday. This will drop Wednesday morning. But so we'll give you some insights there. But I do need to know, first things first, priorities. What's the gripe? What we got going for our gripe of the week?
This one might get some people upset, but that's okay. Dog culture in this country is exhausting. There is there is now 2 employees at my gym that are bringing their dogs to work in the morning. Like I get to the gym at 5 a.m. and their dogs are just with them, and it's chaos. I don't like it. People don't need to bring their dogs into public places. I get it if it's like a service dog, if it's if it's a
Right, that's a
true
different
service
thing.
dog.
That's a different
But if
thing.
it's just your dog with a vest on, don't bring it to Target. I don't need to see your dog at these places. Restaurants, it's crazy. We went down to Austin a couple years ago, and dogs are everywhere. Like you can go to a restaurant and there are dogs everywhere, and that is just excessive. And so it just so happened that I know, like within the last 3 weeks, 2 different employees got their dogs with them at work, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't see it. They're not annoying or anything, but like I don't want to smell your dog. I don't want to be. I didn't choose your dog. You
Right,
chose your dog, and I love
right.
my dog, but I'm not bringing my dog with me when I go places. He stays at home because I wanted him. Other people didn't want my dog.
That's fair. That's a fair take. No, I feel that. I remember in college, I went to one of the like local college bars in the town that I went to school at. And I remember the owner at one of the bars just had his dog walk around the bar, like wherever it wanted. And it
No,
felt a little weird. I feel you. Like, I mean, some people loved it because it was college town and so you don't really see dogs or babies. But at that point, it still was a little much for me.
just
Um, but I also hate when I go to the gym and in the winter, especially, this is what really takes me out. I go to the gym in the winter and someone will feel like they need to bring their dog, but they leave them in the car. And I'm
yeah.
like, bro, it's like -8 outside. You don't have your
What
car
are we doing?
running. Like, bro, would you want to sit in your car for an hour in the ice cold
Th-
like that? Like,
That's what it comes down to, dog. I think we can all just agree. Let's just leave our dogs at home. They want to be at home. They
right.
don't want to be
Let
with
me
you
be
in public.
warm. I'm not trying to sit in
No,
a cold ass car.
exactly. Just leave your car. You leave your dog at home. It's okay.
Yes.
It'll be okay.
I feel you. I co-sign on that one. All right, let's dive in. Let's talk Gopher talk. We're talking the fall camp today. We're talking cornerback room today. We're talking Oregon Ducks football. So we got a lot to get after. I was at the Saturday open practice. It was a fun experience. Big Ten Network was there. Fans were in the building. I mean, anytime that happens where you've got the TV station and the fans, like expect to not see a lot because they're not trying to put nothing on tape. You know PJ, and PJ's trying to keep everything strapped to the vest. But one thing PJ did say in the Saturday camp practice was that they have 90% of the offense installed already. They have 90% ready to go. They can do it. They can run it. They can. So I was impressed with that, especially having a new quarterback at the helm, having a whole bunch of new receivers at the helm, a new offensive line gelling. So they've got it all installed, and now it's starting to clean up and find what works and what the strengths of the team are and things like that. So that was fun to hear. But what things are you wondering, Tristyn, when it comes to fall camp, things that maybe you're hoping are starting to shake out or anything like that?
My biggest things were I was going to ask you about like energy levels at practice, like as far as coming from Drake Lindsay and the rest of the offense. Like I know, like when PJ runs his practices, and obviously this is maybe how other schools run it. He is it's a fast paced practice. It's like very militaristic, and that I'm sure that's common at other schools, but this is the only school I've seen.
Hmm.
But the way he runs practices is high energy, like very game time scenario, like not a lot of time to think about it. So as far as like even keeledness, how did Drake Lindsay look when it comes to like, okay, now we're doing this? How smooth does that transition look?
Bruh, you're going to love this. Drake Lindsay, it was the first question I asked in the presser after, too. Drake Lindsay looks so cool, so calm, so collected, so in control. Um, I was super impressed by it. And it's not, if they're running up tempo for certain periods and team periods and just moving down the field, chugging along, making the right reads, getting through 4 reads, getting through quick reads, dumping it off when the pressure's there. I was like, damn, like, this is week one of our fall camp practices. Like Drake Lindsay is in a good spot. I feel confident with Drake Lindsay. And I know I've always been in that, like, I told you last week's episode, like he's not going to be 18th in the conference. I'd put him in the 12 to 14, seeing how much more we run and things like that. But like he you can tell he was with Max Brosmer for an entire year and a half, and that dude is his best friend. In fact, today we got to talk with Drake Lindsay in the press conference, and I asked him because Greg Harbaugh Jr., the offensive coordinator, said, I've put more on Drake Lindsay's plate than we even gave Max to start off in this season. And he's like, and I expect that he can handle it. Like, I know he can handle it. So I asked Drake Lindsay, I was like, hearing that, like, what have you done to like prep yourself for something like that? And if y'all haven't looked at my Twitter, go follow me at Gophers Kane Rob and check that video out, because you can even hear I put two video clips back to back in the same thread, and he talks about the complexity of the offense, and he talks about how he gets ready mentally to handle all of that pressure. And you can hear the maturity. You can hear a dude who sounds like he's been in this program for 3 to 4 years. I am really intrigued by Drake May. I asked Coach Fleck how he felt seeing Drake calm. What did I? No, I didn't say calm. I said in control and comfortable. And Coach Fleck corrected me right away. He's like, I wouldn't say comfortable. He's never comfortable. He's always pushing himself. He's always trying to think that he needs to do better. How can he fix things? He's cool, he's calm, and he's collected, but comfortable is not the right word. And I was like, okay, I can get with that. But
Yeah, I like
overall,
that.
I've been really impressed. Now, has he missed some throws here and there? Absolutely. Has everything been perfect? No. Today he threw an interception that would have been a pick six and 7-on-7s. Like, there's still growth to be had, but he's has touch throws that are very apparent, and he's putting the ball with good placement. He's throwing with anticipation. He's throwing some deep balls. He hit Jalen Smith on two big ones today, touchdown throws. I think that we are in a good spot, and I'm excited the schedule is laid out how it is, because I think he will impress in the first few games, and it will help him as he gets ready for those Big Ten games, and as he gets ready for the bigger games. It'll be a nice progression to get him warmed up and showing how mature he is, because he's making the changes, he's making flipping runs, he's making the kill calls and things like that at the line, like Max was last year. Redshirt freshman, he's doing it all right now. They're not taking it easy on him. They're making him do it now, and he's in it for the long haul.
I love that. I love that. I didn't have many other things, just like the wide receiver room. What is
Bro, I'm
any
still, like Saturday, the ones, it looked like we had Javon Tracy running with the ones, Lemecki Brockington running with the ones, Kendrick Lanier got in with the ones at times, then all of a sudden Logan Loya was in with the ones at times, then Jalen
oh,
Smith was in with the ones
okay,
at
okay.
times. One thing I can say, Nuke Hayes has a cast on his hand. He is not in any of the team periods, because obviously you can't catch with a cast in the wide receiver room. So we haven't seen him very much at all. I don't think that speaks well to his opportunities probably for this fall, just because if you haven't been able to do all of fall camp, like how can they expect you to step up when this room is already deep? Malachi, is it Coleman? I think his last name's Coleman, right?
Yep, yep.
He's been in a couple certain packages, looks maybe red zone every once in a while with the ones, but I think he's more so with the twos. I think he's a year away. I think they have high hopes for them and everything like that, but I don't see him getting a ton of tick this year. One thing that kind of caught me by surprise, and I was asking some of the other media members, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh," and they like took a note of it themselves. I would like to say I was one of the first ones calling this out, just putting this out there. But
I will let people know.
Christian Driver was not at practice today at all, and I don't know what that means. I don't, because usually even if they're injured, they're out there working on a bike, or they're out there like in their jersey but no pads and like watching and things like that. So, I mean, maybe he's sick, maybe he had something going on elsewhere, or maybe family situation, or it's not always a worst case scenario, but it is something to take note of, because he was there Saturday, again, not getting a ton of looks with the ones, which he's a guy I thought maybe would get more run this season, and maybe he still can, but didn't see him at all even on the field today, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, different, something you wouldn't normally see. So I want to at least note that. It doesn't mean anything crazy though. So the wide receivers again looks deep. Jalen Smith, man, Jalen Smith, 2 big touchdowns today. Like, is just a natural separator. Like, he just finds a way to create separation on the field. I don't think he'll be in those first wide receivers to take snaps on the season, but I think if any of those dudes don't produce fast, whether it's Lemecki, whether it's Loya, whether it's Tracy, if any of them aren't on their P's and Q's right away, Jalen Smith is going to be on their heels, ready to take any opportunity that comes in, and he might be the best field stretcher of this Gophers group. So I think he's going to find a way onto the field, and that's maybe a name that I was like, okay, maybe he's a year away. No, I think this year he's going to find some opportunities there. So that's how I'm feeling with the wide receivers right now.
Love that. Love that. I'll get my wife on to TikTok and have her do some sleuthing to find out about the Christian Driver
Yes,
situation. Get back
yes.
to
You
everyone
said,
next week.
yep, okay, perfect. That's what we need right there. That's the hard hitting detective work that we got going here at the Gopher Broke Pod. When it comes to the offensive line, it seems like the O line was kind of locked in. You were seeing Nathan Roy at left tackle, you were seeing Greg Johnson at left guard, Ashton Beers at center, and then right guard was Marcellus Marshall, and right tackle was Dylan Ray. Uh, on Saturday, we saw Tony Nelson mix in a little bit at right guard with Marcellus Marshall, but then today we saw like mostly almost always Marcellus Marshall. That being said, on Saturday, we saw Nathan Roy kind of come up limping, come up ginger, and he wasn't practicing at all today for Tuesday. So hopefully that's not anything serious and it's more minor. But with that, that gave Kali Tafai the opportunity, the Washington transfer, and he was looking decent. I won't say it was perfect. He had a false start in a couple of the team periods today. So he's got a lot of talent. I think he's one of the highest paid NIL earners on the offensive line transfer coming in. And so I think this is his opportunity. Like the dude in front of you is down, the dude who's maybe earned it through the spring and then early fall because Khalil was dealing with injury stuff. Now all of a sudden Nathan Roy is dealing with injury stuff. So this is his opportunity to try and make it a battle and command it. So the left tackle could maybe be up for grabs depending on if Nathan Roy can get back quick or if Khalil does anything to step out. But otherwise, I think the rest of those four are locked in. But I'm still a little tentative with this offensive line. There's sometimes where we're having big runs, and then there's sometimes where our D line is absolutely eating them up. And I would love to say that that just means our defensive line is dogs, but I've already told you here on the show that I'm a little nervous about our defensive line behind the starters. And with that, the starters didn't really play almost at all today on the defensive line. And so, like, Anthony Smith wasn't really taking reps. Jalen Logan Redding wasn't really taking reps. Devin Eastern wasn't really taking reps. And I get it. Like, why load those dudes up when you know they're going to be the ones playing a ton?
Mm-hmm.
Because we rotate defensive line, right? We got 8 dudes coming in consistently. So they've been playing a ton of the twos, a ton of the threes, making them run with the secondary and the linebackers are still the ones. They're still out there. But when it comes to the D line, they're rotating out guys like Riley Sunrum, like Jalen Hicks, like Stephen Curtis. Rushawn Lawrence got worked in a little bit, but he's coming off an injury too. So Nate Becker, Mo Sane, all of those guys were getting a ton of run because they're trying to figure out who's next up, who is going to be the depth behind those starting guys. Jackson Howard was getting rotated in. Carter Menz, Adam Kasai. So there's a ton of guys to look forward to. In fact, I think Jackson Howard and Lucas Fennessy might be a little bit further behind than I would hope to see.
Oh,
Um, and so maybe that's just because they're trying to rotate as many guys as they can in. But I haven't been super impressed with either one of those two, to be honest. It's still early days, so I mean, it's practice, it's fall camp. Don't take anything too
kind of
seriously.
it's kind of what we talked about, like that position specifically, though. Like you can't just jump into it and hope for the best in the Big Ten going against the Big
Right.
Ten offensive line. So yeah, but run them against the ones as much as you can in practice now. That way, when they do they're not just serving them up to the fire when they get into the real game.
Right, right. But one name I think of all of these twos and threes on the D line that I saw glimpses and I was very intrigued. Carter Menz. Carter Menz is a fun player off the edge. He's got some burst to him. There was a play today he would have absolutely murdered our backup quarterback. I'm not even kidding you. Like there was a point where I thought the backup quarterback felt him coming and was going to throw it away, but then didn't. And Carter went like he was going to like thud or wrap up, even though you don't touch a quarterback, so he didn't. I'm telling you, even when he went to thud or wrap up, The quarterback still didn't know he was there. This dude would have died if he was in a real game. This would have been so bad. So I like his speed. He's very intriguing and he's put on some weight. So I'm intrigued by that. The defensive line, I'm still a little nervous about, but they're working a ton of guys. They're doing everything they can to make sure we have some confidence and depth in that second group, and hopefully it pays out for them.
I love that. I mean, and that's what you use camp for. Is to just get those guys those reps. So
Yeah. Other than that, injuries have been happening. Roberson, linebacker, he was out today, injured. Gianton McMillan, the nickel safety, whatever hybrid type player, he's out. He had a splint on his left ankle and he was limping around. Mo, I'm gonna say his name wrong. We looked it up last time. D tackle came from Purdue. We'll get there.
didn't even try. He didn't even try it, folks. He didn't
Didn't
even
even
try it.
try it. Um, he is injured. He didn't play in either Saturday or Tuesday. It sounds like it's a back thing, and he could be down for a while, which kind of sucks. Like I said, Nuke Hayes has a cast on. Uh, the Bradley Martino, the four-star wide receiver that came in, he has been injured for both of the practices and wasn't out there. Mason Carrier wasn't playing on Saturday, but he was suited up today, so that's a step in the right direction. Same thing with the captain, wasn't suited up on Saturday, but was today. So hopefully a lot of these guys are starting to come back. Rushawn Lawrence didn't really play Saturday, but started to come back today. So hopefully we're getting healthier and not more and more injured. But that's
We got
always a
time. We got
fear.
time.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Otherwise, let's see here. There were a couple three tight end set looks where you had Bierman
Ooh,
and Bibber and Jamison Gears out there and down in the red zone. Three TE looks, so
I like that.
they want to get run this rock for sure.
That's man
Um,
football right there. That's man
Yes,
football.
sir. Yes, sir. Other than that, let's see. There was a time today in the practice where they were playing thud butt, which is basically like wrap up, don't actually tackle. You're wrapping up near the butt area and making sure like it's a low wrap or whatever. And they're like thud butt, thud butt. PJ kept saying it, like emphasizing like don't hit. And then all of a sudden, some other coach must have said like, "Man, we should just be playing live." And then basically PJ was like, "Fuck it, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go live." And on that one play, they went live, and the defense went and absolutely popped Trey Berry, the running back, like literally lit this dude up. He was on the ground. Fumbled the ball, the defense winning, scooped it up. I was like, God, I was like, if that's what live looks like, okay, sign me up. I'm ready for the
Yep.
defense. Let's get it.
I was gonna
Let's
say
get
you
it
need
going.
that. If the defense, that's electric.
Yes.
They let the dogs off the chain.
Yes, so I enjoyed seeing that little glimpse there. One thing I'll say, linebackers, a name that has been ringing out a ton. PJ, Danny Collins, the other players on the defense, Matt Kingsbury. Matt Kingsbury. These dudes are like, look, Matt Kingsbury, the sky is the limit. The ceiling is up there. Big Ten Network was talking about him. So Matt Kingsbury, he's actually pushing Devin Williams for potentially a starter spot next to Maverick. Like that's how much he's standing out. So Matt Kingsbury is definitely a name to know and keep on the radar as we're going. Running back room, Cam Davis. Don't write him off as the RB2. I know everybody's saying AJ Turner, but I think it's going to depend on the situation. If it's a third and short or a fourth and short yardage type situation, Cam Davis is going to truck through that. If it's goal line, Cam Davis might get the opportunities. If we're looking at bigger, scrappier, quick, efficient east-west type running, AJ Turner's probably going to get some looks there. But I think the Gophers legitimately have four real nice running backs: Darius Taylor, AJ Turner, Cam Davis, and then Femi Ijiboy. The Gophers offensive coordinator feels like they got four strong, which is great because we know it's an odd year.
I
We know
love
what
that.
has happened in odd years. Now,
Yeah.
hopefully that we break that curse this year. That's not happening anymore.
Mhm.
But we got four deep right now. Four deep, and some of the true freshmen have looked all right, especially Grant Washington. Grant Washington has had little flashes here and there too. So I think this running back room is deep. I'm excited about the quarterback. Little nervous about the O line. Wide receivers, I think we got depth. We just got to figure out who's who. And then on the defense, we'll see what happens with the D line. I haven't said anything about the secondary so far because we're going to talk about those in these next 2 days. We're going to talk about the corners here today, and we'll talk about the safeties tomorrow. So I'll just bring those up then, so we're not sitting too much on that info and making this episode like 3 hours long. Um, but Yeah. Any other things you can think of when it comes to fall camp, or any questions you got?
Not necessarily. I was going to ask about the running back stuff too, but I like that we have four solid guys because I think PJ and them do a really good job of they'll feed the hot hand. Like remember
Mhm.
what I don't remember what that year was where we had like four running backs that each had 100 yard games. Like hey, it's his day to day. Like oh Trey Potts is going off today, just
Right.
keep feeding Trey. Like
Right.
I like that about our offense. So
Yeah, no, and I think they really like all four of these dudes, so I would not
hmm
be surprised. And maybe two of them are gone after this year, with Darius potentially going to the NFL and Cam Davis out of eligibility. But I think then you still are like, oh, we got too deep, and we like these freshmen coming up. Like, we're in a good spot in that running back room. It's just, can the offensive line create the
offensive line.
holes to let this room run? And I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. I'm not a lot of worried there. I'm just a little worried, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
One thing I'll wrap up on when it comes to this fall camp practice talk. So there's a point. So usually PJ, when it's a media practice or an open practice or anything like that, like it's all the same type of stuff. You're getting indie drills, indie drills, indie drills, team period for a little bit. Usually it's thud and there's no live tackling. Then you get some 7-on-7, more indie, more special teams, things like that. Like it's all like vanilla. It's vanilla, right? Me and Daniel House, a lot of people might know Daniel House, love him. Great. One of the most brilliant minds I've ever talked football with. Like that dude is so smart. We were joking around at the end of practice today because we were like, yep, it was a lot of vanilla. Like it's an ice cream shop, ice cream social. Like it's vanilla. That's the only options you got. No sprinkles, no hot fudge, nothing like that. And I was like, hold up though. There was one sprinkle today. They had one sprinkle because there was a point where PJ was like, everybody on the sidelines, and offense was over there, defense was over there. And he goes, Kenrick Lanier, Mike Gerald, and called them to the field. They did a live one-on-one call out where he called the two players out, gave them one route, and was like, boom. And I was like, yo, are we about to get a full period of this? Cause sign me up. I'm
that's
ready for
cool.
this. And we did it, and it was a tight coverage. Kendrick Lee hit the comeback, got the ball, broke free, and ran up the field. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, okay, who's next? What we got next? And then all of a sudden, they went to the next period. And I was like, bro, how much do you want to bet? I said this to Daniel. I said, how much do you want to bet that was scheduled to be a full period? And then PJ remembered the media was here and was like, all right, on to the next thing. So we got our one little sprinkle that accidentally got bumped over into the vanilla, and we all loved it. And then he was like, all right, back to the normal.
Just kind of flashing. He had a little brain fart. He's like, I gotta, we can't do this now.
Right. Bro, I was so hype. I was like, oh, for real, this could be sick. Just to see people in that competitive element of like you versus me. Like, can you imagine him saying like Javon Tracy, Coy Parrish, come like, and I'm like, okay,
We're
okay,
doing
let's see what Javon Tracy can
one on
do.
ones.
Right. Or okay, Za'Quan Bryan, Coy Parrish, get out here. Coy, you're on offense. Like, let me see something like that. That's what I want to get, that competitive, that
Yeah,
fire, that I'm gonna lock you down type mentality. But I'm sure they're doing that when the media's not around. So thank you, PJ,
absolutely.
for the sprinkle, but I would
It
appreciate some more.
was a tease. It was a tease.
It was a tease. All right, but speaking of the secondary, let's talk about this cornerback room because there is a lot to talk about. I know a lot of people maybe a little worried. We lost Justin Wally, we lost Ethan Robinson, both of them off to the NFL, and people are like, "Yo, we didn't really bring in a lot of transfers at this position.
We are young.
We we are young. What is happening here? Are we going to get torched?" And I want to know how you're feeling about this cornerback room. What's standing out to you before I dive in with a little bit of my thoughts? We can go player by player too, since there's not a ton of corners to really talk about. So let's hear your thoughts in this cornerback room, and I'll kind of back and forth with you.
Well, yes. Well, as we know, this is a Za'Quan Bryan show. So now we are at the Za'Quan Bryan show.
Yep. Yep.
So super excited. That's the first thing that sticks out is everyone is young. This is a young room, but that's good. That means this has got to be a hungry room. Um, I think Za'Quan is going to be a standout. I'm very excited for him. I'm excited about the transfer from NC State. What's the name? Jalen Bowden.
Yeah, yeah.
Bowden?
Except for not NC State. I think it was North Carolina Central, lower,
No,
lower
yeah,
FCS.
yeah, I have NC on here. That's my bad. Either
Yeah.
way, but I think those are going to be our two guys. And then I'm hoping for Evan Redding to get some field time. I love Evan. That's just my dog.
I'm gonna pause you on that, bro. I'm gonna pause you on that. I don't think Jalen Bowden is in the rotation right now. I don't even think he's in the
Okay.
rotation. I think the Gophers in an interesting spot. They're in an interesting spot, but we gotta talk about my dog first before we get into this.
Oh yeah.
Za'Quan Bryant.
Let's first things first. First
First
things
things first.
first.
And I don't care if people are sick of hearing it. Look, I'm telling you, he is a dog, and I am so excited for the season because I know what he can be. Not only did he have the best PFF grade on the entire Gophers team in the cornerback room last year, better than Justin Wally, better than Ethan Robinson. He is just a knack for the ball. He was an all-state wide receiver in Georgia. All-state, won a state championship out there. Like, he has ball skills. He can catch the ball. He knows, has the instinct of when to turn and when to field and things like that. So I think the only thing that maybe Za'Quan could get caught up in a couple times because it's his first time as that true starter all year is trying to use those skills to take a chance. And Justin Wally got caught on that every once in a while too. Like,
Oh yeah.
when you're a dog and you have that alpha mentality of like, I'm a corner, but I'm gonna get this ball. Sometimes you take a risk and sometimes it doesn't pay off. And I know the coaches work with you to calculate when those risks are the right time to take them and things like that. But I think that's the only thing that maybe he could get caught up on every once in a while is like getting a little stingy
Hey,
because he's ready for it. You know what I mean?
hey, if you're gonna, I mean, if there's anyone you want playing behind you, if you're gonna be taking chances, is Coy Parrish. So I mean,
Yeah, right. It's this
go
whole
off,
safety
dog.
room.
Go get it.
Troy and
That's what I'm
Aiden
saying.
and Carrie. Like, yes, I agree with you.
Yes, I'm jumping every route. I got these guys back here. I'm not worried about them. If I miss this, they're gonna make the tackle.
Yes, yes. But one thing I do want to say is like I went back and looked at it, and I knew Za'Quan played a healthy amount last year, but though, like, we obviously had our two starters in front of him, he played 266 snaps. So he almost had 300
Wow.
snaps on the season and had our top grade on PFF. So, like, again, you don't have to swear by PFF, but they're doing metrics to at least give you a calculated estimate on how a dude is playing. And all three of those dudes, Justin Wally, Ethan Robinson, and Za'Quan Bryant, graded above average. In fact, Za'Quan Bryant was in the top 10 or top 12 guys that are coming back to the Big Ten that will be back again this season. So the guys who left for the NFL, I didn't look at those or anything like that. But the guys coming back to the Big Ten, a lot of them are starters coming back. He's not, but he's still in that top 10 or top 12 when it comes to the grades coming back. He was targeted 13 times, only gave up 5 receptions. That's a 38.5% reception rate. So he kind of shut it down, which is
Yep.
nice. Only gave up 43 yards, 0 touchdowns, had a big interception in the bowl game, and now he's going to be your full-time cornerback one. I know other schools wanted to get this guy. I know there were whispers. They wanted to get after this dude in the portal. He is diehard Minnesota. He loves the culture. He wants to help this team compete and bring titles to Minnesota. And I know people think that's lofty, but like Coach Flex said, be delusional. Be
He talked
delusional.
about it.
And he wants to do that.
It was like the week after we had talked about it, about being delusional and whatnot, and that PJ came out and talked about it. I was like, this is exactly what we just said. And that is the mentality that Za'Quan brings. I think it's awesome. Like, you have to have that confidence. I mean, he plays cornerback. You have to be confident in that position.
Right,
So
right.
he's already in the position that's the most delusional on the whole football field. So I
I
mean,
feel that. I
he's
feel
one
that.
step ahead of everybody.
The last thing I'll say on him before we move on to the other guys in this room is that he is a big time player. Like, he's a guy who hits, big pass breakups, big moments. Like, that is what he thrives on. So I'm looking forward to that. And like I said, he used to be a receiver at an all-state level receiver. So if we can get an interception or two in his hands, we can have big returns, just like a Coy Parrish, who you get the ball in his hands, all of a sudden you're like, yo, he could house this somehow. He can find the openings and get there. So that's exciting for him. But when we're looking at CB2, I know you mentioned Jalen Bowden. Haven't really seen him much in any of the team periods. I know he came in a little small. I know when we looked when he was transferring in initially, I told you he was 155 pounds, and you were like, what? We're like, well, how much? Like,
Too tiny.
my
It's too tiny.
firstborn is like 155. What
Yes,
are we doing here?
literally.
Like,
It's
so I
crazy.
do I do think he has to put on some strength, some weight there, so he doesn't lose in the contested game, so he doesn't lose in the physical part of being a cornerback. And I think that we've kind of seen that with not a ton of reps when it comes to the team sessions. And so I don't think he's really in the rotation right now. Another guy that I was surprised we're not really seeing a ton in the team sessions, team periods, and things like that is Rylan Kelly, who is also another guy
Mhm.
who's been here for a while working. We've heard about him, young dude coming up and all that, but haven't really seen a lot for him. So both of those guys I see as depth players, maybe your 5 and your 6 cornerbacks, as opposed to your 2 and your 3 that you were maybe thinking they were. So the three names that I'll throw out there, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts before I get in on them: Mike Gerald, Naeem Parrish, and John Nestor. Do you know anything about any of these guys, Tristyn? What do you got for me in those three? Because those three are, I think, the ones behind Za'Quan right now.
Historically, John Nestor should be a great. You already know where I'm going with this. John Nestor, historically, like just based off of facts and history, should be a great cornerback because he's just white guy played at Iowa. So that's
The
something.
Jason Sehorn of our cornerback room.
Only player comp you give him. No, John Nestor. That is all I had written down for him. This room. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say it was top heavy, but there's two guys that I looked into that I was like, okay, these are our dogs. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning right now.
No, I feel you. John Nestor, I think of the three. So I think those three are battling for the cornerback two right now from what we've seen in the practices and whatnot. Nestor would be on the bottom of those three for me. He's getting reps at both outside and the nickel, but I just can't tell where he's at in the rotation. I think that I've heard a couple other media analysts and whatnot talk about like they think he's better suited as a safety, but look at our safety room. He's not going to get
Yeah.
opportunities there. So they've been working him at corner. I think he's going to get looks at corner, especially early on in these games. But it's like, how aggressive are you? What do you do with the opportunity? Do you capitalize, or do you find yourself moving down on the depth chart? The other two are the ones I'm super intrigued by. Mike Gerald, redshirt freshman, Naeem Parrish, true freshman. So we could have Za'Quan would be a redshirt sophomore, Mike
Yep.
Gerald, redshirt freshman, and Naeem Parrish as a true freshman as our top three corners. And that might scare a lot of folks, but I think the upside is there. All three of these dudes are super physical. Mike Gerald, I think, is in the front of this battle right now. I think he's currently the CB2, but could still be battling with Naeem Parrish on that front or Nestor. I think that what I've seen from him, they've liked him both spring of last year when he came in as a true freshman and this spring, and he's been stepping up a lot more currently, and that he is super physical, especially at the line of scrimmage. He's not afraid to press you. He's not afraid to get up into you. I love that one-on-one call out with him and Kenrick Lanier that I thought that one sprinkle would hopefully turn to more. But it was still like, even though he got beat on the route, he was still there. He was still there to make a play. He just got beat on the comeback as Kenrick came back to the ball. But you can see the potential, and you can see that he could be good. I think the secondary overall can be really good. I'm excited by Mike Gerald, but the name that I have as my sleeper, calling it out here early, is Naeem Parrish. Naeem Parrish, I asked Kerry Brown after today's practice, I said, last year you had Justin Wally, you had Ethan Robinson, both those guys are gone now. Who are some of the younger faces that have been stepping up? And he said, Za'Quan Bryan has been a leader of this room, like from jump, like he's really big in this room. And then you also got guys like Naeem Parrish that are right there. And he said that, and I was like, okay. Like sometimes some of these dudes, like Cody Lindenberg last year, you ask him who's standing out, he's naming every single person in the room. You're not getting nothing. But Kerry Brown, I asked that. Those were the two names that he called out. And Naeem Parrish is the name we've been hearing from Danny Collins in the pressers afterwards. Naeem Parrish is a guy you're seeing get some ones reps and a ton of twos reps and get thrown in here and there. Naeem Parrish had a pick 6 on Drake Lindsay today in 7-on-7s. He just has a natural knack for finding the ball. We were hearing a little bit about him in the spring, and now we're seeing a bit more of him here in the fall as well. I think he's seriously in the conversation to play big snaps and not have a red shirt this year. Burn the red shirt for this season. Stature wise, he's not super big. He's not some like hulking defensive back that can get super physical, but he is a ball hawk. He just knows when to get his head around. He knows when to make a jump on the ball or play on the ball, when to drive down to it. And his instincts are what make it hard to take him off the field. So I think he's truly a guy that is going to get some opportunities. And I think he could push to be the cornerback 2, but I'd have him as my cornerback 3 right now if I had to make a shot or a call.
Okay. Bet. No, that sounds awesome. I mean, again, that would be an insane secondary when we're looking at 3 of the 4 are freshmen and sophomores. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like, but I mean,
Well,
it's the opposite of what we talk about with like what we talk about with the DN. Like that's a position you can play young. You can
mhm.
be very confident as long as you are fast enough and physical enough to body a receiver. Like I I don't see any issues with that.
No, I'm with you. And I think overall, like the other names, Simon Seidel, Evan Redding, Ethan Carrier, Zach Harden, I think all of them are more developmental players. I think if any of them can get a shot, I think it is Redding. I think that he's the one who could get a shot to look at some snaps there. I think the rest of them still got a little ways to go in their come up. But otherwise, like you said, those guys we just named that could be the first three, all super young. Although that's a little scary to think about right now, say they come out and they ball out. Say that they're absolutely like great. That means you've got your top three corners that could be back with you for the next 2 to 3 years. Where, yeah, you're going to keep bringing in freshmen and recruits and things like that to build up. But also, like, you've got stability. You've got those two or those three for 2 to 3 years. You've got Coy for sure for 1 more year as long as he doesn't transfer out. You've got Kerry Brown and Gooseby probably for another 1 or 2 years. Like, that gives you a secondary that you're like, yo, the Gophers have been really good on
Um,
defense, and now you've got them coming back more and more and just getting stronger and faster and the game slowing down. That could be nasty.
being the recruiter for the secondary in Minnesota's got it. It's if we can succeed this year, that becomes the easiest job in college football. Like you don't even have to say anything to sell anything to these kids. You just give them the list of NFL guys. Just be like, listen, here it is. Come be great.
Right, right. No, I'm with you. One thing, I know we're not talking about safeties today, but I was talking with someone about Coy Parrish today, and they were like, hopefully he doesn't transfer after this year. And I was like, the one thing that I've really thought about when it comes to him playing both sides is that if a if you're going to transfer, you're going to transfer to like what, an Ohio State or like a
Yep.
Bama or something that's going to be in
Mm-hmm.
the natty hunt. But those teams aren't going to let him play two ways. Plain and simple. Like they've got too many recruits, too many other guys that are NFL level guys that it would be taking opportunities away. So Minnesota doing that and being legitimate about it, like, hey, it's not just a play or two. Like we want to work him into the offense as much as he can handle. That gives them incentive for him to stay because he can show himself off and put himself in the position to get those looks that nobody else is going to want to do. And he loves football. He wants to be on the football field as much as possible. Like the fact that Minnesota is putting that out there realistically, I think that gives them a strong piece or a strong negotiation piece to be like, this is why you should stay here, especially if they do winning this year. If you get 8+ wins this season and you show you're on the trajectory still, and now you've got all that secondary coming back, and you've got Drake Lindsay coming into year 2 and feeling more comfortable and ready to build on what he did, and say Darius Taylor's like, you know what, I want to run it back. Now you're talking about a team that could be a scary
Yeah.
team that could really upset and shake some things out. So I think there's a big case for him to stay for those that are worried. And I just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like I might forget when we talk about it next week on the safeties. So
No, yeah, I think there's always going to be that. I think that's part of where Minnesota is as a program is that we're having this success and we're always going to be like, okay, like who's going to transfer out, or like our best players got to go. But I do think, like, from what I've seen of Coy, I've never met him or anything, but from what I've seen in his interviews, he does seem like he truly wants to be here. Like, I don't think it's a money thing. Like, I don't think, I mean, obviously anything can change, but I think he's being compensated well enough for him to want to stay here and, kind of see things through here unless things go way south this year.
right.
So I do think, and I don't think that's going to be the case either with this team.
Right. And I think goal number one is the NFL. He said like he was a
Yes.
Vikings fan growing up. Like the Vikings were everything to him and like he just wants to get to the league. And look, he's got a shot. This is safe to you right now. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
Newbin, we've got Howden, you've got Antoine Winfield. Like they're not overlooking it and people are already taking notice of him now. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But let's move it over to the Big Ten in general. Any safeties, any corners that you're looking forward to watching this season?
Again, not watching a lot of cornerback play, but I will say I did write down a couple of names just from, like, just the two corners at Ohio State. we're going to get into Oregon in a little bit. Oregon's got a guy, Theron Johnson and
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Candy, who are
Mm-hmm.
both transfers in this
Mm-hmm.
year. So that could be interesting. And then the returners for Ohio State probably can confirm the player for Ohio State's probably going to be pretty decent at football.
Right, right. No, I'm with you. D'Angelo Pons is my favorite. He's my number
Yep,
one
I had
from
him written
Indiana.
down too.
D'Angelo Pons, he's a dog. 55 tackles last year, 3 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. He's my number one cornerback coming back in the Big Ten this year. I've got Xavier Scott as number 2 for Illinois. 49 tackles, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 6 pass breakups. AJ Harris is my number 3 in the top 10 corners for the Big Ten. He's from Penn State. 48 tackles, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups last year. Then Theron Johnson, who you brought up, Oregon, he's coming over from Northwestern, where he had 53 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and he had 10 pass breakups. Like, this dude is not letting you catch the ball, plain and simple.
See
So
their whole
Oregon,
defense? He just
right? I mean, with Northwestern, there's a reason he's like, yo, Oregon, I like that Nike money, bruh. Uh, So he comes in at my number 4. Jair Hill at Michigan is my number 5. 35 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 1 interception, 1 sack. I've got the Ohio State guy, Davison Igbinosun, at 6. I feel like a lot of people probably have him more at like 3 or 4. I was just like, he's fine. 45 tackles, 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. Rock solid. Ricardo Hallman came in at 7 for me with Wisconsin. Now, his stats last year sucked, plain and simple. He had 16 tackles, 4 pass breakups. That was it. No interceptions, none of that. But the year before, dude had like 40 tackles and 7 interceptions. So I'm like, which guy are you going to get? You going to get the 7 interceptions guy? He's going to be top 10. So I'm going to give it to him and put him at 10.
for Wisconsin in general.
Right. And I think they're going to have another down year. So maybe his stats suck again, but we'll see what happens. But Hallman's at 7. DJ Harvey at USC, I've got at 8. He is a transfer in from a lower level with San Jose State, I believe. But he had 58 tackles, 2 sacks, 6 pass breakups, and 4 interceptions. And then I've got Za'Quan Bryan at number 9. Now, some people are going to be like, bro, you are such a homer. You are being a homer. You're talking about Za'Quan on the show too much. Don't say I didn't warn you, because yes, you might look at the numbers and be like, okay, Za'Quan Bryan had 19 tackles, so I'm putting him in here. The other guys have between like 35 to 55 tackles, so they've got a ton more tackles than him up there. Then you talk about the pass breakups. Za'Quan had 5 pass breakups and 1 interception last year. All these other dudes have about 5 to 9 pass breakups and 1 to 3 interceptions. And most of those guys that I just listed in the top 10. You want to know the biggest difference? All of those guys, every single one of those dudes that I just listed for you, even the Wisconsin dude who had a terrible year, had over 600 snaps played last season, and their numbers aren't drastically better than what we saw from Za'Quan, who only played 266 snaps. So I'm saying you give him the full amount of snaps as a cornerback 1, and he is going to be in that conversation with those physical, aggressive cornerbacks that are getting in there for pass breakups. He had 5 and 266 snaps. Shit, you give him 600, 700 snaps like all these other dudes, he's going to have 10 pass breakups. And then you're right in the conversation. He's going to have 20 more tackles, and that puts him at 40. And all of a sudden, he's right there in that conversation with all these dudes we're listing in the top 10. So just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that you can't see what can be. And that's where I'm at with him. So it isn't just Homer. I am legitimate. Like, I think he's going to be right in that conversation for top 10. And then I got Bo Masco, Rutgers, 49 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 1 interception at number 10.
Okay. No arguments for me. I mean, I am a homer. I won't defend myself. I'm a homer, and I would put Za'Quan at 3 at least, but that's just me.
I'm hoping I have him at 3 next year. We'll say that.
There we go.
But the final thing we're going to talk about today on the show is Oregon. Oregon is the next opponent that we have to break down. Now, we'll have a bye week before Oregon. So we come off a Michigan State game at home. You get a bye week. Then you go out to Eugene and you're playing the Oregon Ducks. So you love that you get a bye week, because the Gophers typically, I won't say always, but typically are real nice off of a bye week.
Yep.
And there's proof of that. I believe last year before the Penn State game, we had a bye week, and we lost to them by 1 point. Same Penn State team that brought Oregon down to the wire in the Big Ten championship. And that Oregon team was a lot better than this one I think we're about to see. I think people are hyping up Oregon for this upcoming season more than they deserve because of what they did last season. They're losing a ton of players. They're losing 9 starters from their defense. Just their defense is losing 9 starters. Then you're losing your quarterback who headed to the NFL. They just lost their number 1 receiver to the NFL. And then they lost their number 2 receiver who was going to be the number 1 this year. He broke his collarbone or something. He's out for the season. So they already are down their best receiving option. They sucked at running the ball last year. Now they brought in a good running back in the transfer portal. We'll see what happens. But like, there's a lot of change on this Oregon team, and that gives me a little bit of hope on this bye-week venture for the Gophers.
I told you already that I was gonna. I mean, you knew I was gonna talk myself into making this a win on the schedule, and I'm super close. I'm super close by the time the game is there. But you are correct. I think that or because of how well Oregon has played the last 3 years, they're kind of getting roped into like the Ohio States of the Big Ten. And I don't know. Ohio State has been Ohio State for many, 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 many,
Right.
many years.
Right.
Oregon was good. How many years ago? The Chip Kelly years, it was fun. D'Anthony Thomas, it was great. But they had down years too. And that's what I think this might be. Like, we're going to see a mortal Oregon this year. And so, like you said, we have them post bye week. It's like I mean, as chalkbook tech, this is a trap game for them more than I've ever seen. So like they play USC the following week, so they're definitely overlooking this Minnesota game, and we're coming off a bye, so we have them at a great time in the schedule. I'm not saying we're gonna win, but I think we're gonna cover the spread because that
There's
spread's gonna be insanely inflated. Like, we're gonna
right.
be a 4 point or 4 touchdown underdog. And so I think we're actually going to surprise. We play well on the West Coast.
Right, right. There's a path to it. Like before, I would have looked at him and been like, look, it's Oregon. We lost. It's done.
Yeah.
But the more and more I look into it, the more and more I'm like, there's at least a path there. And it kind of depends on how things shake out and if this Oregon team finds its groove. But if this is an Oregon team that has a down year, and I'm saying a down year like they win 9 or 10 games, like they're
Yeah.
still they're still doing really good. But maybe we can be one of those 3 losses or 4 losses if they get to that point. Now, when you look at last year, they had 3 games that I was like, bro, what was happening? Moments of weakness is what I would call
Yep.
it. Game number 1, they played Idaho. Like Idaho? Idaho. Like they only beat Idaho 24-14. They beat them by 10 in week 1. Now it's week 1, you're still trying to get things together, but like it's Idaho, bro. Like what? And I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sure
crazy.
Idaho's in the FCS. I don't even think they're FBS. So you had an FCS team in a 10-point game?
It's not a great look. It's not a
Not a
great
great
look.
look. Then you go to Boise State the next week and you only win by a field goal. Now Boise State ended up being a playoff team, so a
Yep.
good team, not going to run it past them. Then they almost lost to Wisconsin, 16-13 last year. And granted, that was at Wisconsin and the Gophers will play at Eugene, but like you said, the Gophers have played well on the West Coast. And the nice thing is we get one game on the West Coast versus Cal before we have to do this Oregon game later on. And both of them are night games. So like you're getting adjusted. You get to go feel what a night game West Coast feels like, a late night Pac 12 after dark type game
Yep.
earlier in the season against a lesser opponent. And then you get to go gear up in the middle of the season with your Big Tens. You see in Ohio State, you see in Iowa, you see in Nebraska. You've taken on some challenges, and now you go back to that environment of a night game, West Coast. And if you pulled off that Cal win and you did it convincingly, the Gophers might have some juice going out there. Like, look, we went out to UCLA, we kicked it. We went out to Cal, we kicked it. We went out to Oregon, we're ready for it. USC came to our house, we kicked it. Like, West Coast is not the best coast, is what the Gophers are going to be out here trying to
Yep.
say. So I think there is a path to it, and Oregon has moments of weakness at times, so there is potential there.
A short week after. I mean, even if they beat Iowa, that's not a fun game for them. I don't know if they're at Iowa, but they're coming up. They have a short week off of Iowa. Like, that's a physical game. They're going to be taxed. Like, I really do see a path. I mean, it is a matter of, okay, where if the Gophers have one loss coming into this game and we're still like, hey, we have a chance here, you're going to get a different team than if we have, 2 or 3 losses. But that same goes for Oregon too. Like if they're not, if they drop a couple, I really think this is a winnable game the more I'm looking at it. And
No,
I hope
I
I'm
don't
not setting
disagree.
myself to get heartbroken, but
I mean,
I
we'll
probably am.
know a lot more about both teams by the time we get to that moment. So when we do a prediction show for that week, it could look a lot different, or we could be like, "Look, we tried to tell y'all back on August 5th that this was gonna be a potential situation, and now we're here." So hopefully that is the case. I would love to drop some of those clips during that week, like, yo,
Great.
that'd be real fun. That'd be real fun.
I have it as a loss, but I do say we cover the spread. And if this is a win, if we flip this to a W, that puts us at 11-1 on my books.
I'm not
So
sure I'm there. I'm not sure I'm there, but
I'm just
we'll
saying.
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it
I'm
when
just
we
saying
do
that's
our
just a
live.
fact. It's just a fact.
I feel you. Let's talk about Oregon as a team real quick. Defense last year, like I said, I think like 9 starters are gone. Now that being said, they play a ton of guys on defense. So like their guys that were the twos were still getting like 400, 500 snaps. So now those dudes are just stepping into more snaps, and then the next dudes are going to be. They do a really good job at like filling their depth on the defense. And Dan Lanning is a defensive coach, so he knows what he's doing. Last year they were 38th in run defense, tied for 25th in pass defense, 15th in total defense, 16th in scoring defense, 14th in the country in sacks with 40 total, and then 58th in turnovers gained. So they weren't great at creating turnovers, but everything else, they were like a top 30, top
Yeah.
25 team in the country. And they're well rounded in the defense, and they're really good at getting after the quarterback. They're bringing back some nasty pass rushers, and that could be a problem for the Gophers, especially when we talk about we're a little bit nervous about the O-line. But luckily, this is a game later in the season, so hopefully it gives the Gophers some time to gel and maybe find a groove and build a chemistry and a unit on that O-line. Otherwise, the Gophers might have to really lean into the run game and the quick pass game, which they might have to do anyways all year.
Yeah.
So um, but yeah, like I said, I think this is probably going to be a loss, but it isn't impossible. That's what I kind of want to stress when it comes to this matchup. I think a lot of it is riding on Dante Moore, who was the quarterback at UCLA 2 years ago as a true freshman, and he did not look good. He was like, I think he was like 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, like under 60% completion rate, could only get through like a read. Like it was rough. And now he's been with Oregon for a year and a half. He's been learning in the background, so a lot could change. But like seeing what he did at UCLA, I'm like, that's still in there. Like if you can get him frazzled, you can get him turning the ball over. Like that's not impossible. So I think a lot rides on his shoulders. They bring in Mekhi Hughes, a running back from Tulane, who was a beast. So that could maybe address their running game woes because they were 72nd in the country last year when it came to running the ball. And then they lost their wide receiver one to injury for the rest of the year, but they have the best receiver in the class of 2025 coming in as a 5-star this year. So like they got dudes. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna have some receivers out there. And then the defense has a ton of experience coming back, even though they weren't all starters. So Oregon should be Oregon, but again, I don't think that they're impossible.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And I going into it when I was starting to kind of read into them a little bit, and I was like, okay, how am I going to talk myself into this? And then as I was reading, I was like, this is not going to be that hard to talk myself into. So that's a good sign.
You know what I hope we get? You know what I hope we get? I told you earlier in the show that in practice there was a moment where PJ was basically like, F it. Like, yep, go live. I hope there's a moment where PJ is like, F it. Why not win? F it. Let's take it to him. Like, let's
Let's just
just
do
get
it.
it.
Let's
Let's
just
just win the game. Like,
run the touchdown play. Run the touchdown play.
I hope that happens, and that would be a fun way to get after it. But any closing remarks for the folks here, Tristyn? We are coming up on an hour. I think this will be our longest podcast, but only by like a minute or two, so it's not terrible. Any
That's
final
what. Wait,
thoughts for the
wait till we
folks?
get to the season. We start to really talk about.
For real, we'll get into predictions. We'll have some fun with it. We'll take listener questions. I've got some in building in the works that I think we're going to drop right before the season. So hopefully you're ready for that and can get involved and active, and it'll help you get on the show a little bit more too. So stay tuned. That'll be fun. But any final words?
No, man, just soak it in. Just get excited football is the best. It's not going to hurt you. It'll never hurt you. Well, it might hurt you sometime,
If you're
but
playing, it might hurt you.
it'll always be back next week. You can try again. You can try
I
again.
feel you. I feel you. All right, that's going to do it for us. Roll the boat, Sky Mago Gophers, as always. And don't forget to hit subscribe.